Welcome to the world-renowned Invest in Her podcast with your host, Catherine Gray. Catherine is a keynote and TEDx speaker, author, executive producer of the movie Show Her the Money, also CEO and founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. Our weekly show of powerhouse women, founders, funders, and changemakers is sure to inspire you. Let's go.
Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation, as well as executive producer on the movie Show Her the Money. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we have on an extraordinary woman as a guest today with a wonderful community for you, and you're going to want to know about it because it's an AI global salon. And it is AI-powered platform for high-impact women. You got to check it out. It's called the Marble Collective. Let's welcome the founder, Kristin Thomas. Hey, Kristin, how are you?
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so honored and excited.
Well, I'm excited to be part of your community. And everybody in my circle is joining, becoming members. We think what you're doing is so cool. Just to give the audience a little bit of a deeper explanation, I know on your website it says that you give a presence and amplify and connect the world's most remarkable women by centralizing their media, accelerating their visibility, and building their digital legacy. And I just think that this is so cool. I mean, we need a platform like this.
Thank you so much. You did a great job explaining it. Our mission is to preserve remarkable women's legacy, to scale their impact, and to make them more discoverable so that they can get booked, funded, hired, and that they can serve as role models at scale to the next generation. And what we do that by gathering their digital presence using AI. So we serve and amplify women leaders, including scientists, venture capitalists, C-suite executives, investors, authors, speakers across the board. And we gather all of their what we call digital assets like podcast interviews, press, blogs, articles, and lectures and videos, and even events that they're going to be speaking in or on panelists of, so that people can go to a centralized place to find role models for inspiration and learning. Or if you're an event coordinator or a journalist or an organization looking for exceptional female talent, you can go to Marble Collective and find them quickly and efficiently so that they can be hired and booked and funded faster.
And I know people are going to say, please explain how this differs from, let's say, LinkedIn or their website, because I know there's a huge difference, but I want you to explain it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we see ourselves as a great companion to a personal website or LinkedIn. LinkedIn and other social media platforms, they're self-promotional and they take the individual to create posts and amplify themselves. The slight difference here is that we use AI to do it automatically. So we take the self-promotion off of the women leaders' plate so that they can focus on doing their work. So if you're, let's say, in a podcast interview, like I am right now, Marble would grab it the minute that it's released, bring it into my digital portfolio, and my network, my employees, my friends, families, and even investors can now follow that interview and make sure they don't miss when I'm out there in the world talking about what I'm doing or sharing my insights and knowledge.
Right, like, because you could be following somebody on LinkedIn, but you miss half their posts. And then as the person having to post it, sometimes it's hard to gather all of the digital media that you're involved with and post it, put it up. But I could see how it makes sense to have it all in one location and not just on your website, but in a community where there's other high-powered women and people looking at your profile there, which they may not be going to your website, but they may be searching in that community for other high impact women. That's what I think is cool about it.
Yeah, LinkedIn is great, but you're right. There's one feed and a specific amount of time that people are on it looking at that one static siloed feed that's algorithm controlled and often ad driven. So what does LinkedIn decide that we're going to see in that moment? And it's decided by the algorithm. Marble is a different option than going to the LinkedIn feed, where you can go there when you want to get plugged into inspiring women who are building, leading, controlling funds, and just out there, inspiring. So you can go to Marble and you can choose what women are role models to you, what women inspire you. And you're going there to find a highly curated group of women leaders that you can learn from. Another interesting thing we're doing is we're allowing the members of Marble who are women leaders to curate their own personal media library of books and articles and podcasts that they're listening to that's informing their work and inspiring them. Because for somebody like me, I don't know about you, you wake up in the morning, what am I going to place my attention on today? What articles am I going to read? What podcasts am I going to listen to when I go on that walk? We can follow shows like Invest in Her, which we know will get great stories and content, but there's a lot out there. So I wanted to create a place that was curated by women that we look up to, that are collectively bringing the media they're paying attention to together so that we can all benefit from it.
It
And
is interesting
clear
you
through the
said
noise a
women you
little bit.
look up to because, when you are in a, these women are remarkable women. They've done remarkable things, but they want to know what other remarkable women are doing too, what they're listening to, what they're doing, and how do they connect with them? Sometimes it's through LinkedIn, but sometimes you don't even know about them. So to be in a community where you can learn about other women that might be of interest to you connecting with, I think that's super powerful. And I love the digital legacy part of it. There may be things written about you as a person, as a high impact woman that you don't even know about, that this will gather that and say, hey, you were written about here, you were mentioned there. That's what I find also fascinating because we don't always know when there is something written about us, right? Very cool to have that digital legacy library. What made you think of this? Like, did this come to you in a dream? Or, tell me how you had this epiphany to create this global salon.
Well, it actually, I think the seed of it, which I recently connected the dots, was way back in 2011, 2013-ish, before the AI, environment really took over. And I executive produced a short film where I invited, I think it was about 8 remarkable women entrepreneurs to come into a studio and tell their story, and if they had one message for the next generation of women, what would it be? We recorded in one day, and it was the coolest thing I had done my entire life. And it was called Women in Motion. And I knew that the reason that I brought them together was really kind of selfish. Like, it was to be in that room and to hear those stories, it lit me up. And the saying, you have to see it to be it. Well, when you surround yourself by and watch and listen to inspiring women that you see yourself in, it shows you what's possible for yourself. So that was the very seed of my interest. I've been in real estate for 2 decades, started out investing in real estate and then selling luxury real estate in New York City. But this had been brewing. I loved going to events. I love seeing inspiring women up on stage and listening to their stories on podcast shows like this.
And
And,
now meeting them in person, thanks to your community. That's the way
and
I
now,
look at it.
yeah, and I'm so glad you brought that up because I want to talk about that a little bit more, about the community element. So I'll just tell you, the pandemic happened, the real estate market shut down, and sometimes you have to be forced life forces you to stop. And when you're forced to stop and pay attention and do a little bit more listening to yourself, things emerge. And marble flew out of me, and I've been working on it ever since. And yes, thank you for bringing up the network part of Marble Collective. Women, the higher they climb, often the lonelier they feel, right? Because we're surrounded by in rooms of men, we're often the only, and that can get very lonely. And even in, networking events, women leaders are still surrounded by others that they tend to give more of themselves than they receive. So having a space built for women leaders to stay plugged into each other so that, tomorrow when I go off into my work, I know when you're on a podcast interview where you're going to be up on stage because I want to hear you talk. I want to continue to be inspired by you, Catherine. So having you on Marble allows me to follow you in that way. And just like it benefits the student or the ambitious professional, it benefits the woman leader too, because we all inspire each other.
I love that. And like you said, you're going to meet with people and connect with people you otherwise wouldn't meet. And I love that this global aspect of what you're doing because, I was fortunate enough to just go around the world with our film, Show Her the Money, and meet people all over the world. And we all have so much in common. And there's so many brilliant women. I don't care what country you're in, Ireland or Australia or wherever. There's brilliant women everywhere. So I love that Marble Collective is global so that you could meet high impact women on a global level in countries you otherwise may not have had an opportunity to meet them in. And so, and you're going to be putting on events too, right?
Yes, because so over the course, we were in beta for 2 years. We started with 25 inspiring women leaders that I was personally drawn to, inspired to. I brought them into a room and I asked them lots of questions, and I continue to ask them questions. And what almost everyone said is that the most meaningful parts of their lives were when they were a part of highly curated, in-person, special gatherings. That's where the magic of connection happens. It's a little different than Zoom. That connection seems to be more solidified in person. So what we want to do is we want to bring our members together so that they can walk into a room and know that it's curated and walk in with a more open heart to connect openly and know that this is not going to be another room where, everybody would love to get a word with you or sell you something or which can be wonderful but overwhelming.
Yeah.
So we want to bring women leaders together so that they can connect, share stories, talk about what each other are doing, share those experiences,
Collaborate.
collaborate, because that's how we're going to do this, right? Is
Yes.
bringing women together to work together. And I think that's when we do our best, is when we collaborate. Then to go off into the world the next day. And that's where Marble steps in, so that we can stay plugged into each other and stay connected through sharing an article. This podcast, you've got to listen to it. It made me think of you. And also share opportunities and collaborate, because we're all really busy, right? And
Yes.
it's hard to maintain these relationships.
And in your profession, it sounds like over those decades working in real estate that you were working with high net worth people. And high net worth people don't always know how to connect with other high net worth people. And so your community really, I think, is a great platform for that. Don LaFrida, who's in my film, always says, you are the five people that you're hanging out with. So you're providing that community of like-minded people that are remarkable world-class women to be able to connect and associate with each other to do even more good for the world on a global level. And so that's what I think the genius of Marble Collective is.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with you, and that's such an important reminder for us all that our thoughts are very much downstream by who we surround ourselves with, what we consume, what we listen to, and we often get sucked into social media and all the noise. And if we try to be more intentional with who we surround ourselves with and where we place our attention, that's really impactful. So think of Marble like a haven where anybody in the world, gender neutral, can come to get plugged into, inspired by, listen to the stories of remarkable women who are building, doing, or and have incredibly inspiring stories. And not everybody in the world is out there building larger than life careers. And there's students with ambitions and ambitious professionals. And I just wanted to give that same access in a centralized, focused place to anybody in the world who wants to find that inspiration and wants to find those role models that they can get plugged into without the distractions of the ads and the food pictures and the social media. That's all fun, but I think being intentional about at least carving out a space in your life where you can be intentional and know you can go for clean, stories and insights and high quality information.
So you kind of have a couple different things you're curating right here. So you have the founding members who are exceptional women around the world that I imagine you're putting them together. And let's talk about who and what that means. And then who can, over and above the founding members, who can join Marble Collective? Let's explain that to our listeners.
Yes, thank you so much. So we have two core user groups. One user group, these are remarkable women leaders, industry diverse and geography diverse. And we centralize their digital presence using AI, and we create a space within Marble that they can communicate with and connect and follow each other. But that's contained. And then we have the second user group, which can span from ambitious professionals to students to event coordinators, journalists, organizations looking to hire top talent, or even venture capitalists and investors who are looking to fund women. And those we're focusing on serving those two very different user groups, but they connect with one another. And you mentioned founding members. These are the women leaders in my world or that have been nominated by other founding members that have discovered Marble, connected with me. They're lit up by our vision and they wanted to be a part of it. So they are coming on to back Marble with their presence, with their own legacies, with their stories, by nominating other women leaders in their world, and then also by being our first seed investors. And that's something that I'm really proud of, and it was intentional. I went through startup accelerators, I read the books, and I learned how little funding goes to women-led ventures. So rather than going out and going through standard, typical funding routes, I said, look, I have 300 women leaders that are all behind Marble, and many of whom are accredited investors but don't consider themselves investors. But they're capable of angel investing and may never have written their first check. And I invited them to invest in Marble. And we got 70 checks in. We oversubscribed our first round. And the one thing I wanted to do a little bit differently is to talk about it openly. Because when you hear of a woman who's using her own capital to invest in women and another woman, that's powerful. And it shows you that you have the power to do that too. Whether it's a little check or a big check, that's influence and power. And as we move towards the great wealth transfer, I think this is the great wealth transfer. I think this is the mind shift that women have to make because we have an incredible opportunity at hand.
100%. And that's what our movie is about, of course, that we are on a mission around the world to say to women, we are the ones to solve this underfunding issue. And so I think it was a very smart approach of you to say, hey, invest in this woman-founded community and be a founder in this platform that's going to be so powerful and a great way for you to connect with others. They saw the value in not only investing in a woman, which they need to be doing. Women tend to be more profitable than men, so good investment. But then also being something a part of something great that will actually help elevate their standing in the world. So it was a win-win, I think. I think it was a smart approach that you did. So once that's built out and it's launched, and as we speak, it is online, people can visit Marble Collective. And it is marblecollective.com, right?
Marblecollective.com, launched fall 2025.
Great. And besides that, so that now people can just register to be in the community, like you said, from students to startups to accomplished women. Will you be doing another round to add to your founding members platform?
Yeah, so our first phase is launching with our 300 plus founding members. And then from there, women leaders who are inspired by what we're doing and curious about it and want to be a part of it can go to marblecollective.com and apply or talk to one of our current members, because we've empowered every one of our members to nominate other women leaders who inspire them, who they feel the world should see more of. And that's how we're going to grow. We're going to grow our women leader cohort with a quality over quantity mentality so that we can really create a place that the world can trust. You'll find really smart women building exceptional careers, and have remarkable stories that will inspire.
So at that level, those women that have invested in it and are founding members have the digital platform that aggregates all of their media in one place. The people that come and just join as members to access those people, they don't have that capability, right? Is that the separation?
Yeah, so we're shooting for early 2026, where we're going to open up real access and new tools for anybody in the world, whether it's from students to venture capitalists who want to come and get plugged into, discover, follow, book, hire the women that are featured, the women leaders that are featured in Marble. So that's going to be the second phase. Catherine, you're going to be featured in our launch. You're going to have a public-facing profile. Every podcast, interview, article, every digital asset, there's a lot that's out there, will be centralized in one place for you to use as a press kit when you have a speaking engagement, or
That's
anybody to really explore your career. And then when we open up access to audiences, and we encourage anybody who's curious about this to go to our website, subscribe to our newsletter, and get on our audience wait list. We're going to open up that access and give anybody in the world tools to really discover and follow and get plugged into inspiring women.
That's great. So the one level is to be on the digital platform that's gathering all of your legacy. And the other is to visit and be able to connect to those people. So it's two-pronged, right? That community
Two-pronged.
experience.
Yep. It's two-pronged in that it's like a Substack for TED women, right? So it's a way to follow the entire life's work and digital legacy of women leaders. And then the second user group is open access to anybody in the world who wants to get plugged into the women paving the way of
This is
today
great.
and in history.
I love it. And I have some women in Ireland and New Zealand and Australia that I've got to connect you with because I want to help you see this, grow globally because that is the amazing part of it.
I mean, the beauty of being global is that, when you open your mind to people that are different from you in any way. Just by hearing their story and sharing yours, we often, we find that connection through our humanity. And that's why being global is so important, because we all have connections, whether it's family stories, career stories, or just life lessons that connect us all. And I think storytelling is really the way that happens.
I think it's key. Obviously, it's what helped you launch this idea. And of course, we find that power in the movie, Show Her the Money. All of these things are about the power of storytelling. So I love what you're doing. So happy to talk about it today. People can visit marblecollective.com to sign up, learn about it, and join the community. Thanks so much, Kristin, for the great work that you're doing. And I take it people can find you on LinkedIn?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram at Kristin Thomas _. And I look forward to seeing you inside Marble.
Great. I look forward to it too. And everybody, we'll see you also on LinkedIn, Catherine Gray, Catherine with a C, Gray with an A, and visit our websites, showherthemoneymovie.com, as well as sheangelinvestors.com. We love providing all these resources to our listeners. Kristin, thanks so much for being a great guest and developing such an ingenious community as Marble Collective. Thank you.
Catherine, thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Thanks. Make it a great week, everybody.